by Dr. Salah AlAnsari, who's a senior researcher in Islamic studies at the counter-extremism organisation, the Quilliam Foundation. Welcome to you both. Dr. Ansari, just before we come to the question of whether or not Sara Khan is an appropriate person to fill this post, just let me ask you whether or not we should be having quite this much concentration on this issue. The House of Commons report says that there's been a general trend of decline in terrorism since the 1980s. Aren't we instilling fear where it's not appropriate?
Not true. Actually, the acts of terrorism is only a manifestation only of an ideology and underpinning ideology that promotes violence is still active, even with the disappearance, for example, with ISIS or any terrorist organization overseas. This doesn't mean that we have already got rid and the threat level has gone down. Because the ideology that fuels and generate and recruits people is still on the ground. Those people fight for an idea, not only for an organization. Some people can have some kind of illusionment or disillusion regarding the organization itself, but they still having sympathy towards the ideology itself. That's why after the collapse of any organization, you will find some religious fanatics who will move from one country to another, from one organization to another, in order to establish the perceived dream.
But in this country, between 2001 and 2016, that's 15 years, there were 54 deaths from terrorism. Just let me give you some perspective on that. In the Lockerbie attack itself, there was 271. In 1972, in a single year, there were 344 deaths from terrorism. I'm putting it to you that perhaps the government is engaged in fear-mongering when it shouldn't be.
Not true. I disagree regarding that, because you're only just counting the hit counts of the actual victims. The real issue with terrorism is not...
It's a pretty important indicator, isn't it?
No, but it's not only about the casualties, it's about psychological impacts, and it's the fear that it creates, the unpredictability about it, it's huge damage on business, economy, stability. It has other implications which you completely ignore to talk about. Also, you have, you didn't manage to mention the foil attacks that the government has managed and succeeded in foiling these attacks. Imagine if these attacks have taken place, what would be the implication of that? And in these terrorist attacks, you don't need many people. Only a couple of people can cause the damage.
Okay, Dr. Ansari, I'll come back to you in a minute. But Azim Qureshi, welcome to the program. Do you think whether or not Sara Khan's the right person to do this job? Do you think the focus on these jobs is overstating the level of terrorist threat?
Yeah, I think that's really the issue here. I mean, obviously, Dr. Ansari has a vested interest in promoting the idea that there's something to be really fearful of, that it's much more widespread than it actually is. But the real problem here is that we've never actually had an evidence-based approach to not only what the problem is, but what the solutions need to be. And the reason why that's an issue is because we've got all of this sprawling counter-terrorism legislation that exists in the UK, but actually people who are convicted of terrorism offences aren't actually usually involved in terrorism plots. It's always for non-violent crimes, nearly always for non-violent crimes that they're convicted. And so what we've gone down is this route towards having this commission for non-violent extremism, which all have powers, where we're actually increasingly criminalizing ideas and beliefs rather than actually dealing with why people feel disaffected in the first place, which is what organizations like Quilliam Foundation have consistently failed to do. They can consistently tow a narrative that suits their agenda, which is to focus on so-called extremism without any clear definitions about what that might be, and also, really making the Muslim community feel even more disenfranchised than it already is.
Okay. Asim, just let me ask you this. What is your problem with Sara Khan taking this job?
The main issues with Sara Khan are around her lack of independence, the fact that RICU, the Research and Information Communications Unit, were effectively specifically managing some of her projects. And so this lack of independence, lack of authenticity. She's not a community organizer at all. She's not somebody who's well known to community organizations. She's got no history of campaigning or running fundraisers for her work amongst communities. And so, it leaves a lot of questions as to her level of authenticity. And of course, for Muslim community, that's the one thing that they want to see. They want to see that these organizations, have that footprint in the communities, that they're able to go into different communities to fundraise for their projects, that they get that almost vote of confidence, right? And, organizations like Inspiring Quilliam just don't do that because they're not welcome, quite frankly.
Dr. Ansari, when you've got 100 Muslim organisations and scholars saying that your appointment is a bad idea, and on top of that you've got a senior figure in the Tory party, Baroness Warsi, saying the same thing, perhaps this was a mistake.
Before I answer these questions, I'm sorry that Asim is keep on and attacking, mentioning the name of Quilliam. Actually, I would like to take things personally and about the organizations. If you would like me to talk about the organization equally, the cage, for example, employed some people who have sympathy with previous terrorist organizations. You called Jihadi Jones a beautiful young man and the others. But here, this is not the problem. Also,
Dr. Ansari, okay, you made your point. Now, could you return to the question whether or not Sara Khan is an appropriate person to take this post when she's opposed by 100 Muslim organisations and scholars and Baroness Warsi of the Tory party?
I think she is the best candidate. She is an independent figure. She wasn't before a member of any governmental bodies. She agreed with the government and policies in counter-extremism. She disagreed with some, exactly like Quilliam, like banning orders, for example, before forbidding hate speech from delivering or expressing their views in public. With Quilliam, we opposed that, and because of this, it has been disregarded. Also about the credentials, if someone is like Sara Khan wouldn't hold this position, who will be? Someone who actually have a former experience, personal experience in extremism. She was a former extremist herself. She's a Muslim. She's a woman. She has 10 years experience on the grassroots level with her organization that she established. It's called We Will Inspire. She is an author who have touched deeply on the debate about religion, identity, and security in her wonderful book, Battle of Islam. In my point of view, she is the ideal candidate. She ticks all the boxes that needed for this post. Regarding the people that you have said that they opposed her, like who? Like MCB, for example. MCB, according to a research that we have conducted, along with others.
Sorry, just let me put this point to you. How much do you think Sara Khan knows about far-right extremism? Because there's been a 92% rise in the arrests of white extremists. The only member of parliament to be assassinated in recent memory in this country was assassinated by a white extremist. What does Sara Khan know about this? Because that actually is the majority form of terrorist threat in this country.
The great threat actually translated from both two main terms, far right and Islamists. But the Islamists represent a major threat according to many researchers locally and internationally. Euro, for example, the Eurocentric Europol research have actually revealed the figure according and many other research organizations here in the UK that 2/3, and also if you refer back to the PREVENT program and the number of the referrals that coming to the channel program, the majority are coming from Islamist background, and next to that coming the far right. I don't think she will be single-handedly run all of the commission. She will be supported by others who will have the expertise in this, because the task of this commission is to tackle all sorts of extremism.
Okay, Dr. Ansari, just